Hello, everyone. This is Teri and this is Alison. Welcome to another episode of the Astrology and Beyond. And today we have a very important guest hailing all the way from Hong Kong, and that's Letao Wang. And he's a astrologer and a spiritual counselor. And I think, studied both Western astrology with AstroSynthesis in Australia with Brian Clark, and also he's practicing Chinese astrology. And I think your spiritual counseling is based on astrology, tarot, and also numerology as well.
Correct.
Welcome once again. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Yeah, it's awesome to be here.
So tell us just a little bit, first of all, about what you do in your own words. You know, what is it? We've seen you on YouTube, and there's some really great shows on YouTube. I've really enjoyed them.
Thank
So
you.
how
Thank
do
you. Yeah.
how do you present yourself? Who are you?
So I've been in practice doing tarot and astrology reading and counseling for about professionally, I would say it's been 12 years. I started back in 2014, and before that, I spent a lot of time actually studying. I had a very good spiritual teacher during my early days training time, just as his apprentice when I lived in Sydney, Australia. But during that period of time, of course, I also had to work. The so-called the usual, right, the job that you do have to do to make both ends meet and to
Sure.
answer the so-called expectations from families and from the society. But professionally, let's say doing astrology and tarot counseling, it has been 12 years. And back in I think 2000, so about 3-4 years into my practice, I went back to university again and actually got my qualification and master degree in counseling. So I'm actually a accredited counselor in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Okay, that was around your Saturn return or just after? Am I right in thinking you kind of had a little bit of a an epiphany there and were just like, okay, I need to go in this direction?
Oh, very sharp. Yeah. So Saturn return was a time when I actually made this decision about the career transition. So yes, and that was also a very, very difficult time when I had to really take some actions, right? To really take this path seriously instead of kind of like keep lying to myself that I'm just doing this because I like it, because it's just a hobby, but I'm still a banker. And I just couldn't live that lie with that lie anymore. And that was exactly at the age of 28. So that was the very beginning part of my Saturn return. Yeah.
Right. Wow. And can I ask where your Saturn is? Because that's always a thing. So you were saying you're a banker. I don't know, maybe you've got some Capricorn energy there or something like that.
Yeah. Well, no, my Saturn is actually in Scorpio.
Okay. Other people's money.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Saturn in Scorpio. Yeah. But my moon, but you notice the Capricorn energy very sharp again. Yeah. Moon in Capricorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I like a moon in Capricorn. They're always pretty driven actually and focused. Yeah.
Exactly.
To the point that actually it's even a little bit annoying actually. Yeah. Because because moon is in detriment, in Capricorn. It's never a very warm and fuzzy energy. And thinking about my childhood, right, with my mother. My mother was she's still a very stoic woman. You know what I mean? Like my mother is very Capricorn. Like my mother is all about, career, and rules in the house, right? And my mother was never that kind of woman who would say, oh, because I need to take care of my son, that's why I'm gonna turn down this business trip. She would leave me with a nanny, and she would be gone for like a whole month on business.
Wow. Okay.
Just like that. Yeah. And she was. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think moon is also sometimes it's about how we get mothered as well. I mean, like, so it's, I think maybe moon in Capricorn is like how your mother in a way was for you. I mean, in a way as well. I mean,
Yeah,
so
I think
it's like
so. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the Capricornian, maybe businesswoman. It's like doing the
Mm.
career and everything. And I think Indian providing, it's very important. I mean, it's a different way of not Cancerian providing, like let me cook and etc. But it's like that doing the things to bring that food in front of you. That kind of, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
mindset more.
Oh, definitely. I think my mother set a great example for me in
Absolutely.
many different
Yeah.
ways. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even in counseling sessions, occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally, I would mention my mother if it's
Okay.
relevant to the client situation. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Okay. So she's obviously been a really important figure. You've seen her drive and you've like emulated that and it's been quite
Mm.
inspirational for you, I think.
Uh, yes, but in a way, I think it's very much in a subconscious way. Like
Okay.
especially in my 20s, right? Because I left home very, very early. I left home when I was 18. I never
Okay.
really lived, yeah, I never lived with my parents after high school. And
Hmm.
so, but I think like sometimes the way that I deal with um, challenges or whatever, yeah,
Mm.
um, things in my life, I kind of like feel like, it's just because of my upbringing, because of the way my mother dealt with things, and that's just naturally how I am, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I never really thought about, oh, I want to be my mother. But now thinking back, I'm pretty much like similar to my mom in many, many different ways. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Except that you've taken your own route. So you
Uh,
obviously got to that point and thought, okay, well, I've done the banking, which is pretty Capricorn in its own way, but
mm,
then actually no, but I'm my own man as well, and I'm going off in this
yeah.
direction. So
Mm.
which is actually also, I think, demands a strength really there to do that and to make that decision. I mean, it's challenging, isn't it? Especially when, as you said, you've got these expectations of people behind you.
Yeah, yeah, huge actually, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's not just about telling them, right? Sometimes it's also about them being afraid of losing faith in their own community.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's like for about 5 years, my because my mom has a great relationship with my aunt.
Hmm.
And so they're sisters, right? They're really close to each other and they talk about everything. But 5 years into my career, my aunt had no idea what I was doing professionally because my
Wow.
mother felt ashamed to tell her that
Yeah.
I'm a practicing astrologer.
Yes.
For her, it's like, don't bring shame to our family. That's not a job.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So yeah, and of course, so and eventually, I had a very heart-to-heart conversation, which was also tough,
Yeah.
with both my parents, right? And of course, now we have great relationship, but definitely like what you said,
Yeah.
it was not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
Gosh, well, that is
that's
interesting. Do you
that's
have brothers and sisters, or is it just you kind of standing there being the
Uh,
sole?
just, just me, and that's why it's hard. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
okay,
That's
okay,
that's a lot
okay,
of
okay. I
pressure.
can, I
Yeah.
can, I can
Yeah.
yeah,
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
being the
yeah.
only
I mean,
child.
in a
Yeah.
way that they already gave me a lot of freedom. I mean, my
Hmm.
parents never really tried to control me, but they, especially, in the early days, I would say in my just after my Saturn return, right? So late 20s and even, the first 5 years in my 30s until I was
Yeah.
36, 30, 37. I mean, they
Hmm.
kept saying things to hint at me that
Right.
like stop fucking around. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And like we know what you're doing, but you need to go back to the bank. That's not a job. And until that I was able to show them some achievement
Mm.
and
Yeah.
my own ability to make a
Hmm.
living
Yeah.
doing what I do. And then they kind of like, okay, you know, if you are independent financially,
Hmm.
but even the other day, my father, even like last month when I called my dad, my
Yes.
mother never said that now again, but my dad was like, I think it's great that you're doing what you do, but I still think that you need to have a proper job. would you consider maybe working part-time, maybe in a bank or go back to a financial institution? I said, why? And he said, well, I just think that, by working the proper job, um,
Mhm.
you are more connected with the society.
Oh,
Oh
wow,
my
that's
God. Yeah,
interesting.
that's interesting. I
Mm.
mean, I think it's all, I mean, like when you do of astrology counseling, it's like you are in touch with the people all the time. It's interesting that I
Yeah,
think
he doesn't
how
see it
they
that
see
way.
is not the same then. Okay.
He
Okay.
thinks I'm a weirdo. He thinks that, all my friends' kids, they wear a suit, they go to, international financial center to work.
Men in
They
black.
work.
It's like
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah.
from
They wear ties, and those are normal people. You are abnormal. It's fine that you can make both ends meet. Yeah, I'm not gonna force you to do anything else, but I still think that you should be like that because that's what a normal guy would do, and what you're doing is not really normal. And still, he said though. Well, he doesn't really say it, but he would
Yeah,
recommend things like that. It's a bit like saying that I hope you will be a banker again.
yeah,
So yeah. But again, like of course, we all study our parents' chart as well, and
yes,
I don't blame my father because that's just how he grew up, and that's how his upbringing, his education. So for me and my daddy, especially, he's already in his 70s. So
hmm,
every time when we have this type of conversation, I always tell myself that it's okay. We don't disagree with each other. We are not going to argue.
yeah,
I will listen to you. I will say yes, dad, but it is what it is.
yeah, yeah.
That's just what it
But
is. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a great way to handle it. I think it's probably the only way. And as you say, they're coming from a completely different setup, aren't they? Sociologically, the
Yeah.
expectations were very, very different when they were growing up. And I think the transition's difficult for people. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
on well, that's the main thing. So where
Thank
did
you.
your career start then? You were talking about, I mean, Terry mentioned Brian Clark and astrosynthesis. I mean, train
Yeah.
with the best, why don't you?
Yeah. So actually, I actually had a few different teachers along the
Okay.
way. Yeah. So Brian was one of the teachers that I encountered when I spent my time in Japan years ago.
okay.
Yeah, because he actually did quite a lot of collaborations with an organization in Tokyo,
Okay.
and I actually did a actual workshop in Japan. Sorry, we didn't do the workshop together. He was the one doing the workshop. I was
Mhm.
attending the workshop. Yeah, and we did a retreat in a very beautiful place, right, and outside Tokyo. Well,
Oh,
two nights, 3 days, 2 nights. Yeah, very beautiful greenery, in the mountains. And we talked about dreams interpretation. We talked
Oh,
about astrology, right? I think in total there were probably 8 or 9 students. Yeah, and those were with him. It was a great experience. But my first astrology teacher was not really him. My first astrology teacher was actually in from Sydney,
okay.
and
okay.
that was the very first teacher that I had who opened the door for me. Brian
Right.
was more sort of like later when I
Hmm.
was further trying to go a little bit deeper with my
Yeah.
astrology
Hmm.
study, right? So he was probably the second or the third teacher that I encountered, which was definitely a blessing. And my first spiritual teacher was someone different, yeah. But mainly I studied mythology with him, and that became actually the foundation of
Right.
everything that I do these days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So when you said open the door, that's a lovely phrase. I really like that. And how do you remember that door being opened? How old were you then back then?
23, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because I was
yeah.
living in Sydney at that time. I was doing my first master program, and I had no idea what I wanted to do after that because what I thought I would be doing professionally turned out to be a dead end.
Oh.
Even though I spent many, many years going through the training and I was very good, at
Mhm.
what I did in academically, and then I realized that actually that doesn't work for me professionally.
Right.
6 months before my graduation, and I realized that all the time that I spent in my undergrad and postgrad, because I was studying the same thing, for the entire 6 years, 4 years undergrad and 2 years master program,
Hmm.
and I was very, very lost because I had no idea what to do after, and
Hmm.
and around that time, it's almost like a tower moment,
Yes.
and I encountered my first astrology teacher.
Right.
And for the very first time in my life, I had a reading.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I never showed any interest, never thought that I want to do readings. It was just never. And the 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 meeting with my first teacher was like, so he really opened that door for me. It was like an epiphany and awakening experience. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, 23 years old in Sydney.
And what was his name? I mean, just to put him on the record.
Paris.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But he is no longer in Sydney. He moved. I don't even know where he is now because his parents originally are from somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if he moved back to his parents' house because it's always he was a little bit like a gypsy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a little bit like a gypsy, and he actually said it himself. He said, "I'm like a gypsy." He never had a permanent place to live. And I remember
love this.
he
So you've got this like mysterious figure comes into your life and kind of opens this door for you, and then kind of disappears again into the mists
It's
of
interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
he served his role and then that's it. Letao went into all astrology, spiritual counseling, and he did his role and then he just disappeared. It feels like that. But I think sometimes, that the people come in certain times in our lives, they serve their role and then they just go away because
disappeared.
it's not, that's it. It's the service is done.
Very much so. And I think a lot of teachers are like that, right? And even I think Brian, I studied with him with Astrosynthesis for I think it was a year or a year and a half or something like that. And then, and we had a great time. I learned a lot of reading actually, a lot of very good resource that he shared actually with me and all his other students. But then we moved on to other teachers, and he might move on to other students and things like that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
What I wonder is like how does Chinese astrology come in? Because it's I think mostly Brian, when we talk about Brian, we are talking about the Western tradition and what we know. But how does the Chinese astrology come into the stage here? I mean, when did it come, or was it always there? Is it something part of it's part of the probably the culture, but how did it come, like making also interpretations, etc. about it?
Yeah. So for a long time, actually, right? So I would say, like, let's say until COVID. We're talking about 2020, 2021, during that period of time. Until that time, I had never shown any interest in Chinese astrology.
Okay.
No interest at all. Yeah. I was not interested in talking about or discovering what Chinese astrology was really about. And I grew up in that culture, right? And I was also always fascinated by the Western esoteric studies, right? Tarot, the Western astrology system, and numerology and everything. But I was just not into Chinese astrology, right? And there's no particular reason. I just didn't find that attractive. But during COVID time, because we're all stuck at home, so I was reading a lot of books, and again, sometimes the universe would surprise us. And again, a new door opened for me. And I suddenly realized how profound Chinese astrology is. Because most people would think Chinese astrology is about, you're a rooster. Oh, I am an ox. And he is a tiger. And that's it. Even with I've read some Western astrologers writing about Chinese astrology, right? I'm not gonna put the name there, and that's all they know actually, and it's quite superficial, right? But when you really get into Chinese astrology because now I have a spiritual teacher, a Chinese master, whom I learned from Chinese astrology. It's it's almost like if what we think Chinese astrology is what we see in our neighborhood, right? What you can see, open your window, that's your neighborhood. The actual Chinese astrology is the entire galaxy. And that
Wow.
and
Okay.
that's how fascinating it is. Because Chinese astrology is not just astrology, it has a lot to do with and actually the entire I Ching. Okay, the philosophy of I Ching is very closely connected with Chinese astrology. And to understand Chinese astrology really well, especially if you want to read for people, let's say someone goes to you and say, okay, this is my birthday, birth time, okay, what do you see? To actually decipher a Chinese astrology chart, I realize that it's very, very complicated. And it's for example, for me, right, to study the Western chart, okay, pretty much I would say 6 months time, I was already, okay, got the main gist. Okay, this means this means this, right? And then how they work with each other. Oh my God, Chinese astrology is not like that. It's, I would say at least 50% is actually your intuition. The other 50% is the so-called theory.
Wow.
So compared to Chinese astrology, for example, Western astrology, I think is more straightforward. For example, when you look at someone's chart, right, Saturn square moon is Saturn square moon. That's it. Okay, and you see, okay, this person's sun is in conjunction with Neptune. Okay, and there's definition there, and that's what it means. But Chinese astrology is not like that. Chinese astrology is a little bit like you are looking at a painting, and you are using your intuition to feel what is lacking in this painting, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll give an example. Okay, so for example, if you're looking at a painting that is, for example, someone's chart can look like Sahara Desert, okay, with some buildings like the Middle East. Okay, if that's what you see there, and this person keeps talking about certain challenges in their lives, and then you will connect the so-called element, the different elements in Chinese astrology to the problem they have, and you realize that, oh, what is lacking in this chart is there's a lack of ocean or river there. It's too dry. It's not habitable. So if this person's life is a little bit like this big person is constantly thirsty because he doesn't have the source to drink water from. And some other people's chart is a little bit like a flooding city. There's too much water flowing, right? And the water is actually not really working out for them. So what they need is they need to build a dam to stop the water flowing. A little bit like how you stop, how you build a dam, right, on top of a river. It's a little bit like that. So Chinese astrology it has a lot to do with this kind of imagination, if you know what I mean, and whether you intuitively you're seeing that right or not. Yeah. So that's why I realized that is a very, very different system. Yeah.
Gosh, that's fascinating. So how do you even calculate somebody's chart, or is it a calculation? I mean, because I confess I was one of those people that I could never understand why it was just like, okay, everybody born in this year is this. I mean, that's worse than sun sign astrology, isn't it? It's
Correct.
just couldn't possibly be that. But I never actually inquired. So yeah, tell us.
So when you look at someone's chart, especially if they're asking about now, right? What's the energy now? You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 things. And their relationships with each other. And the so-called born in which year, for example, this year is the year of the horse. And the horse will occupy one empty seat. Okay. So out of the 12 empty seats, one is occupied with a horse. And the other 11s are based on other things. For example, the months, the day, and the time. And also, you separate them into 2 different lines. The lower line, we call that the earthly branch. And then we have the upper line, which is called the heavenly branch. The heavenly stem and the earthly branch. And they form the tree of life in Chinese astrology. Yeah.
I think I can never understand. Probably for me to get this it takes I think effort, energy, understanding. Yeah.
And also the thing is that, for example, in Western astrology, the reason why I feel it was easier for me to learn was because, for example, there are certain planets, they're just not expecting each other, right? For example,
Mm.
mainly you're looking at what is actually aspecting each other, the major
Oh,
aspect, whether they're
okay.
squaring, opposing each other. If they're not really aspecting each other, then we don't really read them, right? Because they're not really working with each other that much. Of course, you look at their house, the signs, right?
Mm.
But if they're not aspecting, then, for example, the sun, let's say the sun and the moon, they're not really aspecting each other, then you wouldn't focus on their relationship with each other. You still look at their own
True.
sign, their houses, but you wouldn't say how the sun is working on the moon because they're not working with each other
Mm-hmm.
that intensely. But in Chinese astrology, all the 12 things are working with each other.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
if you pick one thing, you're looking at 11 relationships, and then you go to the next one, that's another 11 relationships,
Okay.
and that's why it's hard. Yeah, that's complicated. Yeah.
Mm,
Wow.
mm. Well, I'm
Yeah.
pleased it's complicated. Yeah, it makes much more sense. I mean, how can something that's, so old and revered as Chinese astrology not be complicated? That's much, much better.
And that's why, right? I really hope that one day there will be a actual proper Chinese astrology book published in the Western world. Because so
Yeah.
far, what I'm seeing in the Western market, Chinese astrology still is very superficially based on, okay, you were born the year of the ox, you were
Absolutely.
born the year of the rooster. That's not what it is. And so far, there hasn't been a lot of good books in English or in
Yeah.
the Western market about how to practice Chinese astrology. Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, one day,
Right.
hopefully, I will write that book. But
I was
let's
Yeah,
just
see.
yes, I
thinking.
was just going to say that probably you will be the one,
Let's see.
yeah. Like
Let's
you
see.
have the,
I don't know.
I can see that you have, I mean, you can write 256 pages of only a guidebook for Oracle. I think that you could easily make that translation or write that book for us. I mean, one
That's
day.
3 volumes at
I hope
least,
so.
isn't it? It's at least 3 volumes, I think.
And the interesting thing is that, once you write that book, right, what your publisher would care about is whether it's too complicated for people to read, right?
Yes.
Because they also have to make sure that it can be sold well, right?
Yes.
And so I think it's going to be a very difficult task to
Yeah.
simplify something that is complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even,
Okay.
when I read these books in Chinese, because in our language, we have a lot of these kind of very well-written books, but I remember, so one of the reasons why I wasn't into Chinese astrology before was because they're so difficult to understand.
Yes.
Even for me, reading in my own language,
Yeah.
it's you will read 2 pages, you'll be like, you know what, like I'm done, to be like that. So I have to find a way to simplify this. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, that's really interesting to know. Yeah. Okay. Well, I may have to dig a little bit deeper in that because that's certainly touched something.
It's
So
it's
the
interesting. I would highly
other,
recommend.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So the other strand that you're known for is your tarot. So tell us a little bit about that because you've created decks as well, haven't you?
Mm.
One which won an award recently. So which is, I
Yeah.
mean, that was the huge book that Teri was talking about, the guidebook, which
Yeah.
was
This
show us
one,
that.
yeah, Oracle of the Mythic Heroes. Yeah. So this one actually last year won the Akata Award in UK. I would assume, Alison, you're in UK, right?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm in France,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
both of
yes,
you are in UK.
Yeah,
Both
yeah,
of you
but
are in UK.
I'm in Edinburgh. Yeah.
I'm actually in
Oh,
France, but we know the UK.
oh,
Yeah, I'm British.
I see. Oh, I see. Yeah. So this one was won the Kata Award, which is an organization in UK. Yeah, the
Okay.
Kata Award. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year, actually, this one has just been it just got the not just nomination, but it's one of the finalists by Cover Award in also the best guidebook. Yeah, but they're gonna announce the gold, silver, or bronze medal next month. So I hope this will win
Oh,
gold. I
good
don't know.
luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is one of the Oracle decks that my first Oracle deck actually, and the second one. This one is more well known. Actually, this one won the cover award last year called the Oracle
Okay.
of the Celestial. This one is more astrology, actually, Western
Right.
astrology. and you can see who is on the cover. Artemis, the goddess of the moon.
Yeah. Hey, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful deck.
Thank
Beautiful
you. Yes.
cover, at least. Yeah, I really like
Yeah.
that.
Artwork is really nice. Yeah. And this actually yesterday, well, today is the 7th or the 6th?
7th.
Today
You had a
is
launch
7th. Yep.
of a deck, no? Heroes and Villains. There's
Yeah,
another
this one.
Oracle
Yeah,
deck
just
that
released
came
2 days
out.
ago.
Yeah,
New
Oh,
one.
wow.
Yeah.
A new one.
Legends,
So
Heroes, and
Fantastic.
Villains
yeah,
Oracle.
yesterday released. Yeah, Legends, Heroes, and Villains Oracle. And this one is based on history, historical figures. For example, on the book cover, we have got Harriet Tubman on top. We have got Charles Ponzi, the villain. We've got Elena. We have got this one, Eva Perón.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, from Argentina. Yeah. So they're all different themes, but these two are more kind of like they work together very well because one is based on the Greek gods and this one is the Greek heroes. So they work together very seamlessly with each other, these two decks.
So a couple of questions around the oracles, actually. Firstly, whereabouts do you get your inspiration from? And yeah, no, that's the main question, actually. Where do you get the inspiration for to create these decks? I mean, it comes from some deep creative force by the sound of it.
Yeah. So so the interesting thing is that earlier I mentioned my first astrology teacher, right? That I received my training from, and his teaching, at least with me, it was very heavily based on mythology. So, for example, when he was teaching, let's say, Western astrology, he would not go directly to the traditional method, which we see very commonly in, for example, the London School of Astrology, or what's the other one in the U.S.? Kepler.
Oh, Kepler, Kepler College.
Very famous, very famous, right? But he didn't use those methods actually. So, for example, when I'm looking at, for example, the energy of the sun, or let's say the energy of Venus, okay, and he will ask me to read Iliad and Odyssey, and he will say,
wow.
so he will say, okay,
that's deep.
I want you to read all the mythology story about Aphrodite, who is a Greek counterpart of Venus, and you tell me what you think Venus is about in astrology based on the stories. So my understanding of astrology is, at least from the very beginning, was not really about the so-called astrological definitions that we have to memorize, but it's very much about the storytelling. And
what an amazing teacher.
Yeah, and so that influence has made a lot of impact on my later studies. Of course, with Brian, right, with other astrology teachers, I went back to the traditional method, but I started with mythology. And so then when I really studied the, astrology from the traditional way, it felt much easier actually, because the stories are already there. So it's very easy for me to make those connections. And so coming back to these decks, as you already know, the guidebook is this thick, right? So one of the reasons is because it's very much about storytelling of those Greek heroes and how their stories are reflected in astrology, and also how their stories can be associated with our modern day life experiences. And so that's my inspiration. So I always wanted to create something with storytelling, and this is what these two are. These are the result of that. Of that wish. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I think that's really amazing. And one thing I really love about astrology too, when you look at a chart, is how it actually works in terms of the stories of the gods actually kind of come into our lives that during certain transits and things like that. Like, for instance, I've looked at death charts a lot, and you always see Mercury quite prominently in death charts as a psychopomp to lead the soul to the other world and things like that. And then at other times as well, you can see how the transits that you're having and the stories that are linked to them in myth are really coming to life in people's lives, and that is actually fundamental to the astrology. I think that must have been so inspirational for you that you started with the myths. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Really
think
like
I
that.
was very fortunate to meet that teacher actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was a little bit like a rebel.
Okay.
Yeah. So because later I asked him why he didn't teach astrology in a traditional way, and he
Hmm.
said, well, because I found them too bookish. That's literally his answer to me. So he was a rebel in his own way. Like he
Hmm.
did not like astrology in that sense, and so
Yeah.
he studied astrology from a different way, and that's how he taught me, and that just clicked. At least during that period of time, and of course later, when I go back to the the traditional method, right? The actual systems, the houses and things like that, right? And the so-called usual ways of learning astrology, um, they really work with each other very well. They help
Hmm.
each other to deepen their own, their themselves actually. Yeah.
But on
Yeah.
the other hand, yeah, you have a really, I think, thanks to that teacher, you have already had a very good foundation. I mean, like, it's like the moment that you have the story, you have all the images, you have all the definitions already in a way there. I mean, he's going asking you go read Iliad and Odyssey, etc., and then you get
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the story there, then you are done. I mean, and also I think stories are things that we can keep in mind better, because when we are even you read a story to a child, the images that form in their minds stay with them forever. So it's a very good way of teaching, and it's a very good way of learning. I'm really
Yeah, because
amazed
you never forget.
by this. Yeah.
Because
No.
yeah, we always remember the stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's if one day, I mean, I've never done astrology teaching. Yeah, I'm not a teacher, but
Hmm.
if one day I
Hmm.
teach, I think I will use the same method because I think
Hmm.
stories will really illuminate our mind, and we never forget about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
So
It's
so how is kind of so-called Western astrology, how do you find that's received in Hong Kong? Because you're based in Hong Kong now, aren't you? I mean,
Yeah.
how does that interact with the Chinese astrology and the tarot? And I mean,
Um,
it must be a bit of a melting pot, Hong Kong.
It is
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Yeah. But um, people who actually who are more, um, let's say, interested, yeah, or
Hmm.
that some of them just might be feeling more a sense of, affinity towards Western astrology or tarot. They
Okay.
will always go to, the Western astrologers. But the
Hmm.
ones who really want to do the Chinese astrology, they will always go to the Chinese astrologers. So,
Okay.
yeah, so you will see complete different type of clients actually.
Right. Okay.
In
And
my
do you give
career, maybe I
readings for both? Do you give readings for both? Are you kind of seeing
ah,
both types of client or?
great question. Yes, so yes, I would have Western chart on my left, the Chinese chart on the right, and I look at both. But my session is not a little bit different from a lot of astrologers because I don't know how you guys practice with your
Hmm.
clients. Sometimes I think with most astrologers, they, as far as I know, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
um, they usually during the session they will interpret the chart for the clients, right? Um, for me, because I do counseling, so my
Right.
session is very much about understanding what the client is seeking and
Mm.
what kind of challenges and what trauma they are actually experiencing. And so I don't really interpret the chart per se to them. I will see them, but I will want to know why the client is here.
Yes.
Why are you
Yeah.
here with
okay.
me?
Sure.
I don't want to spend 30 minutes talking about your chart, but actually you don't really care about most of the things I just said.
No.
I want the
Okay.
client to tell me exactly why you're here, what you're trying to seek, what you're trying to gain from this session.
Mm.
And based on the chart that I'm seeing on the left and on the right, I will answer your question the best way possible. Some questions or some concerns can be best addressed with Western astrology, but
Yeah.
some questions
Okay.
will be more suitable for Chinese chart to answer.
That's interesting.
So I will be the one deciding which one I will be using
Hmm.
because so the client will not tell me, oh, I want to do Chinese chart or I want to
Okay.
do Western chart. They
Yeah.
they don't choose that. They come here to tell me why they want counseling, and I will be the one choosing the best method with them based on my judgment.
So you
Okay.
are like blending in a way everything together. It's like the magician. You have the tools in front of you, and according to what the people is in need of, after you talk, probably after a while, you understand what they are there for,
They're like,
etc. And then, but I accept the charts. For example, in your counseling, do you also like use the tarot? Oracle, because you say that you
very
use
much so.
numerology, you just make I mean, like choose whatever is relevant at that moment.
Yeah. Especially, I think if they have some very, very specific questions, right? I think, for example, when you look at their, for example, transit in astrology, when you look at their transit or secondary progression, you can only tell them about the tendencies. Okay, during this period of time, certain things tend to happen, but sometimes they have something very, very specific. I just had a job interview last week. Can I get an offer? But those things you can't really answer with transit or a secondary progression. You can answer, but probably that would be horary astrology, right?
Yeah.
I lost my key. Where's my key? You use horary astrology. Yeah, but to truth be told, I'm not very savvy with horary. That's not something that I would do as a professional service. I'm just not very confident in that, and so I would use tarot or use or card reading to answer those very specific questions. Yeah, things like, will I hear from my this company if I just applied for a job? Yeah. Something like will my boss next month give me a promotion? Something like that. Yeah.
Do you use your own decks, or sorry, Alison, do you
No, I was
use
going to
your
ask the
own
same
decks?
question.
Yeah. Do you use your own decks, or you use other decks for the readings?
My own oracle cards for sure. Every reading I will use my own oracle cards, and also I will combine that with tarot and also Lenormand.
Oh wow,
Lenormand. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you make a key opening or something like that, like the big ones?
I have a very good Lenormand deck that I use all the time. I think the artwork is really beautiful. I'll actually put a ring on top. It's a very beautiful artwork.
Wow,
that
it's
is
very
nice.
beautiful.
So
Yeah,
I'll
it's
use
very
this
nice.
deck for my Lenormand reading. Yeah.
And what's the tarot deck that you prefer or that you're using at the moment? I'm sure you go from.
I have 4 decks, depending
Okay.
on how I feel. Of course, the standard Rider-Waite. I would definitely use that. I would this is a really good one that I use. It's called the Ehrenberg tarot that I use. I like a lot. And also there's another deck called the Fable Tarot. I also like.
Okay.
Yeah. And another one
Always
is Mythic.
stories, no fable stories.
Fable,
Always
yeah.
there are stories involved.
This is a Fable Tarot, that I use.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So you can see the pattern in me. Usually, if I choose a deck, there has to be some storytelling. But Rider-Waite is the exception, because it's just a standard, deck that everybody would use. And I do feel like it is useful sometimes, because sometimes you don't want to be, distracted by the story.
Imagination, and it's like
Yeah,
straightforward.
that's a good
This
point.
card came and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. What kind of tarot do you guys use?
I'm not a big tarot person, but I do use the Rider-Waite when I'm just
Rider-Waite,
looking
okay.
at stuff. Yeah.
I'm a Robert Place deck user. I use the Robert Place decks a lot. The
Okay.
Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery, Alchemical Tarot of Marseille. Yeah, I like using Robert Place decks. Yes. I'm just
There are just so
need
many different types of tarot really out there.
Yes.
So many. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, so much. So at the moment you're still in the middle or kind of further down than the middle, but you're still studying the Chinese astrology and kind of there's just so much of it and everything. So where do you see, where is it going? You've got your successful YouTube channel at the moment, and I'm sure that's still building. So where do you see it all going? Are you moving towards anything, or are you kind of what's developing for you at the moment?
I have no idea.
So it's going to be another one of those doors opening where something will just like whoosh into your life. And
I hope so. Well, there are, projects that I'm working on. Yeah. Like for example, I will have my because these three oracle decks, because this one just came out, 2 days ago, so
yeah,
they're done. And
yeah,
next year I will have a book coming out.
a
So
book.
it's a
Wow. Okay.
so it's a proper
Yeah.
tarot book. Already, so
Okay.
we're already in the process of editing and the cover design and everything. Probably it will come out next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's
So
certainly to look out for.
a lot of writing and the revision, things like that. Yeah. So that's
So,
a project that I'm just working on now. Yeah, with a publisher.
so is that based on the Rider-Waite deck, or is that a more general tarot? Or I'm looking forward to it. I've got it on my list to buy already.
Ooh, okay. So here's the thing, right? I would love to tell you, but my publisher tells me not to
Oh,
uh
okay, okay,
yeah
okay.
disclose
Also,
it too much,
let's
right?
not jinx it. Let's not
Yeah.
jinx it before it comes
I don't
out.
know if it's about things, but it's just a rule. Usually, especially if your book has already got a publishing contract with a
Okay,
Yeah,
publisher,
sure.
yeah,
they
Fair
would
enough.
want you to only disclose it when it's ready. So they will
Right.
tell you now
okay,
you can promote it, you can tell people, you can put it on your social media, things like that,
okay,
right? They will tell you
okay,
that usually it's about 6 months before the
Okay.
official release. Yeah, 4 months or so,
okay.
6 months, I would say.
Okay.
But it's yeah, it's a tarot book. That's
It's
Okay.
a terrible
Okay.
book.
yeah. But if you like
The
tarot, I would love, I think that you would love it
Okay.
because if of course some of the things that we just talked about earlier actually has a
hmm
lot to do with this book anyway.
Okay.
Okay,
Gosh,
okay,
that's
okay.
okay.
The
That's
tarot
interesting.
stories that I'm now starting speculating tarot and the myths, etc.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Well, gosh,
yeah,
that's
I would
exciting
definitely
though.
I'll definitely keep you guys posted, yeah, about the
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
book.
you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd
yeah,
definitely like
Thank
to
you.
hear about it.
Yeah, yeah, that
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, we would be happy also to share when
And
it
maybe
comes
that's
out
when your dad
on
will
social
finally
media.
come round and say, "Wow, Letao, you
Yeah.
did
Oh, by the way, I
that."
want to ask you guys here, do you guys ever go to London?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, sometimes.
So, okay, so next month I will be in London doing a book signing event uh
Okay.
at Watkins bookstore. You know Watkins in
Yes,
Covent
Watkins,
Garden.
I know. Yes, I know. I have
Yeah,
been there just in January. Yes, because
yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
they
one's
are
where's
big with the
Watkins?
Watkins is very nice in Cecil Court. I mean, they have
Okay.
the
Yeah.
top floor is the all tarot and all the I think more divination tools,
Okay. I
all of
haven't
them.
Uh,
been there.
And
I need to
the
go.
bottom,
yeah,
the
yeah.
down floor is more like the books and all kind of things that you
Yeah,
find there.
yeah. I would say
Yeah,
probably
I
Watkins is
buy my
the
decks
biggest
from
one.
Watkins.
Yeah, the biggest spirituality store, bookstore in London, I think. There are also others. There's another one called Atlantis, which is also in Covent
Yes.
Garden. But
Yeah. Yeah, I know
I
that
think
one.
Watkins is a little bit bigger.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like Atlantis too, actually, because last year I was a speaker at the UK Tarot Conference, actually, and
Ah,
the
yeah.
owner of Atlantis bookstore also attended the conference, and I met her, a
Mhm.
very nice lady.
Yeah.
But next month my event is gonna be at Watkins on June the 20th. So if you guys are in London, please come to the event. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
It
well,
sounds
I
great. I
wish that we
can't
could
get
go
there though.
school time. Otherwise, if it was 1 week or 10 days later, maybe I would have just popped in and then,
Uh,
yeah, that came to
well,
the
you're
event.
invited anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday from 12 to 4.
Wow.
Okay,
But
Yes.
so well, if anyone's listening, then that would definitely be a lovely event, I think. Super.
Yeah,
And to
yeah,
yeah,
meet
please come.
yeah.
Letao. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I will also announce it on Instagram when it's closer, maybe the first week of June.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
yeah, it's for this deck, this one.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
Great.
Actually, 2 years ago, I did an event at Watkins. It was I had a lot of fun there. It was great
Yeah.
for all Oracle of the Mythic Heroes. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you doing anything else while you're in London? Do you visit often? Are you do you
Yeah,
find
gonna
you travel a
connect.
lot?
Yeah, well, London, part of it is a book signing, and the other part is catching up with other, amazing teachers and
Yes.
readers that I met yet last year at the conference.
hmm
Yeah, some of them actually don't live in London, just like you guys. Yeah, they live
Right.
in other parts of UK,
Yeah.
and but I tried to reach out to them, and we already arranged several meetups, lunch, and things like that. Yeah,
That's
so
Wow,
nice.
it's
I'm
great,
really
great.
looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I was asking you guys. If you actually if you come to London often. Yeah, but I try to come to London every year anyway, so I believe there are always gonna be chance
But
to
I
meeting
will
you.
say that Edinburgh is as beautiful as London. I'm in
I
Edinburgh.
believe you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe you. Well, whenever I think of Edinburgh, I think of like Harry Potter. I don't know
Yes.
why.
It
Yeah,
is a bit of it does feel like a Harry Potter place, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm in rural France where it's absolutely beautiful, and I do get
yeah.
back to the UK fairly regularly, but yeah, it has to be kind of programmed in, I'm afraid.
Program.
Mm.
Yeah, understood, understood. Yeah. Well, there's always gonna be chance. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
hope so.
yeah.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, it was
Oh,
great. No, I listen. I mean, like, I think we enjoyed a lot, and we are again very grateful that today you made time and you came and talk with us. And I think it was really fun for us to talk to you and to know you
we
in a
really
way a
did.
bit better. And I hope that everyone who would be listening would be enjoying. I mean, and knowing about Letao Wang more
Mm,
and creations
thank
and
you.
his plans and
Thank
who
you.
he is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel
I'm
I've
sure.
learned so much. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure that we will cross paths, in some other maybe other events. Actually, I do attend events, not all the time, but this year, I mean, since last year, there has been quite a few events. Yeah, like next
Yeah.
month, I'm actually not next month, next week, I'm flying to Bangkok,
Oh,
Thailand.
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
for their annual magic fair. They invited me to be a speaker there. So the theme of the fair is called the four sacred elements of the nature. Astrology, the fire, water, earth, air. The four sacred elements.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's a year annual event in Bangkok. And a lot of tarot readers, astrologers would go, especially in Thailand. Yeah, and
Mm.
so the organizer of the event, I met him at the conference last year, and he
Okay.
was very kind to invite me. So yeah, I'm sure that. And maybe some other events, hopefully maybe in UK or somewhere in Europe, and we will
Yeah,
get
I'm
to catch
sure.
up. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
sure.
Oh
Yeah, we'll
my
make a
God.
point of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
Yeah.
so
been
much.
really
Ho-
good.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's
It's
morning for you
almost the
guys, right?
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll connect again. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks so much.